This week we are reading The Culturally Responsive Teacher by these authors, Villegas and Lucas. I want you to focus on you don't have to ongoing read every single word and memorize every word. The purpose of these articles is to get into the literature, the research, and to understand over decades of how this research on culturally responsive teaching has progressed. The amazing thing, or the interesting thing about this article, is the timing of it. Is right now, Harvard School of Education is putting out articles and focusing on changing the traditional admissions requirements, moving from standard GPA or test scores to actually giving credence and credibility to students who have come from difficult or caregiving backgrounds. For example, as you read here, there's some students that are acting as caregivers and wage earners for their families. So as you learn about that, you will understand how this kind of leadership in the home or leadership in the workplace, even from a high school student's experience, let alone into college, would give them some qualifications of leadership and other non-academic qualifications to stand out in an admissions process. And so that movement is influencing not just elementary school, but all through higher education. So as you read through this article, you learn about different cultural and linguistic backgrounds and how that influences their ability if the teacher is aware and looks at them from a strengths base and look at them for their strengths versus looking at them through a deficit model or a deficit thinking, where you see their linguistic or cultural background as kind of inhibiting their opportunity to progress in their elementary school education. So that kind of brings together an understanding of what this article is all about. This article, the next one, Framing Constructivism in Practice as a Negotiation of Dilemmas. This is a great article as I've moved through a PhD several years ago in studying of how to set up an environment that helps individuals from different unique backgrounds equally contribute to one another's learning. So just like we're doing in this class with the team-based semester project, is each of you come from different backgrounds, different thoughts, and there's a difference between listening to a lecture from me versus coming up with an ill-defined problem, exploring different scenarios of how you could address that problem, as it probably will not go along directly with your lesson plan, and then consulting the research literature out there and comparing what the research literature and the scholars say compared to what you came up with in your scenario. So this article can kind of help you frame that experience, that there really are these challenges facing teachers that need to be addressed before your lesson plan even might be as effective as it could be. Constructivism, you'll learn here, and the history of constructivism and this framework of how to address instruction for your students, again, comes back to it being centered around the child, centered around the student, and then being able to, as Dewey, all the way back into the early 1900s, explained that there's different forms of knowledge or different kinds of knowledge that is impactful when the student is able to construct or build that for themselves. So you have this framework or this foundation available to them pedagogically, and the environment that you create. However, you allow the room for that student to be able to build that knowledge from this foundation, to build their own house of knowledge, so to speak, with the help of their classmates. The article is very lengthy, and the reason is this research is over 100 years old. So there's different facets of constructivism, and then there's different facets of how to approach that in more of a fluid way, depending on the experiences and needs of your students. So again, it's not the matter of memorizing every single word in this article. It's being able to go through the article and finding out what some of these words mean that you'll come across if you do pursue graduate school or professional development. Words like epistemology, meaning how do we know the things that we know? And the epistemology of constructivism is student-centered, and them being able to build on that knowledge for themselves, so it's more memorable, more meaningful, and relevant to what they're doing. So again, if these articles don't come up, remember that it's probably because you haven't logged into the McKay Library website. Once you log into there, these articles come up just fine. Feel free to give me a call on the phone anytime, and we can talk through these articles together. Anything that you find confusing or new to you, we can kind of discuss this, because frankly these terms and these concepts, you'll study them for the rest of your career, because they're very abstract concepts, but little by little you start to make sense of them in your own classrooms as you do kind of practice-based oriented research with your own students and helping them improve at that age.